or what it looked to be a missed call.
Well, I think it was a missed call.
Yeah.
Fourth touchdown of the air for Ed Hervey, and frustration for Cal Murphy on the Saskatchewan bench. Eskimos have come out of the dressing room and responded with 2 touchdowns in the third quarter. Lots of time left for a Rough Rider comeback, but all of a sudden it's 26-15.
Well, think about this, though. I mean, Kevin Mason dropped the ball twice in that drive and got it back. Got the missed call on the sideline, and then they find Ed Hervey. I mean, that is frustrating for defense.
Make it 27-15 for the Eskimos. Underdogs coming into Taylor Field, Regina. When you look back at the records and you look back at what Saskatchewan has been doing lately and what the Eskimos have been doing, but Hervey has the touchdown.
Well, we got to take one more look, John, at Kevin Mason on the sideline, the key play of the drive and the one that would have given the Saskatchewan Roughriders the football back. Here he comes now. He's to the sideline. If this ball hits his foot and goes out of bounds, it's Saskatchewan football. Kicks it there. No question that ball was kicked out of bounds by Kevin Mason. A missed call by the officials. Mason on the very next play finds Ed Hervey for the touchdown.
Sometimes you got to take advantage of your breaks, and Mason did it there.
Well, he did it twice because he fumbled the previous play. It got the good bounce, got it back, kicked it out of bounds. Refs missed the call, and then finds Ed Hervey for the 37-yarder and to cap off the 6-play drive.
Mason also with a 22-yard run. Eskimos kicking it off to Curtis Mayfield. Mayfield has some magic on returns at times. Not this one, though. A couple of punt return touchdowns for Mayfield so far. Another penalty marker is down. Murphy has to turn the ship around in a big hurry.
Well, he needs a big play. He needs a big play out of his offense, and what he can't do over there on the sideline.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 45, first down.
And what he can't do now, though, is he can't let that missed call by the official where Kevin Mason kicked it out of bounds affect him now. They got to put that behind them. They're not going to change the call. The touchdown is on the board by Ed Hervey. They need a big play out of their offense to stop the bleeding.
And Reggie Slack had a very hot hand at certain stages of that opening half. Went a little icy near the end. The Riders missed a field goal on the second last play. Now Saskatchewan starts deep in Rough Rider territory, and there was absolutely nowhere to go for Mike Saunders. Did you like that call on the play?
To run it to Saunders?
Yeah.
I think you got to keep him involved in the offense.
Okay.
But, you know, Cal Murphy's, you can see how frustrated he is, and he's got to be thinking 2-3 plays ahead of where they are right now. And strategy of how he's going to get back in this football game, because they're not going to change the call. But boy, I can see why he's frustrated. And when he sees the tape,
he'll be even angrier.
Yeah.
2nd and 11. Riders facing a little heat right now. Slack almost has that intercepted. Farthing was the intended receiver. And there was almost a gift for Marcelo Simmons.
You know, I got to tell you, since the second half began, the Saskatchewan Roughriders look flat.
Absolutely.
You know, they came out of the room, and defensively, they haven't stopped anything. Offensively, they're just not finishing the plays, and you see Farthing go across, and it was almost intercepted across the middle, but they're just not, there's no burst, there's no jump off the line of scrimmage. They look flat right now.
And they're giving up big-time field position to the Eskimos here already across midfield, and Ashley is still going. There are flags down. Ashley is hammered to the turf by the kicker, and flags fly there. Paul McCallum made the tackle, perhaps by the face mask. We'll check it out. 25 on the return. The Eskimos are flying right now. The game will re-rack it and show it to you, brought to you by Mr. Lube.
They are so nice.
Very nice.
They really are nice.
Nice as I've seen.
Aren't they nice?
Unbelievably nice.
Mr. Lube, for a nice, fast, friendly oil change.
Why can't you be that nice?
I am that nice.
Mr. Lube, doing it right before your eyes.
Kevin Mason is finding a way to make these Edmonton Eskimos winners. They have the lead. And Don Matthews breathing a little bit easier on the far sideline, but this is a long way from over with 5:27 to go, third quarter. However, the Eskimos are in range to score again. First down here. Penalties against both sides on the return, setting the Eskimos up at the 30. Mason brings it back down, a pump fake. He's got Tobert, and Tobert has a first down inside the 10-yard line. Curtis Gallick couldn't get a hand on it.
Oh, the Saskatchewan defense all jumped and bought the fake on the hitch screen to Terry Vaughn. Benson Donaldson and the rest of the defensive backs flew out there, and they all took off to go to Terry Vaughn, and Kevin Mason pulls it down and gets it to Mark Tolbert down the seam. I believe Ken Benson even touched that a little bit.
Eskimos set up first and goal to go just inside the 5. They've scored quick touchdowns in the second half, and Mills is halfway to another one. Gain of a couple there.
Well, it's been a very simple game plan when you look at what Don Matthews has put together offensively, and with the help, of course, of Dieter Brock and the whole staff. But it's really a one-back set with 3 receivers to the short side of the field, keeping the linebackers wide. They know that Kevin Mason can run on the corners, and they're just giving the ball to Troy Mills right up the middle.
Second and goal to go. Eskimos are at the Saskatchewan 3. 2 quick touchdowns. Make it 3. Great fake by Mason as he finds the end zone. Kevin Mason has had a heck of a second half. He's put 3 touchdowns on the board.
He's taking advantage of the opportunity that he has here tonight, and that's to come back and say a little something to his ex-team and show his new coach, his new boss, Don Matthews, that he's capable of running the offense.
7 for 78. Mills has run extremely well. He's over 100 yards. So the Eskimo running game has really set up this whole situation for Edmonton in the third quarter. Edmonton on top by 34-15 as a result of 3 quick touchdowns to get the third quarter underway. And normally the third quarter has belonged to the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but Don Matthews has found a way to put 3 touchdowns on the board.
Well, this is the whole set I've been talking about. One back in the backfield. It gives Kevin Mason the opportunity to fake it to Troy Mills and then work to the outside. Now, this is up to Kevin Mason. I can give it to him there, or I can fake it, keep it to the outside. See, Curtis Gallick tackles Troy Mills and then realizes he doesn't have the football. Kevin Mason has it, and he's already crossed the line with it.
Benson has a shot here and can't react in time. Number 37. Terrific fake by Mason, really sets up this touchdown run.
And you look at the backside of the play, there's no pursuit from the Saskatchewan defense. Not a green jersey in the picture until late. There's no emotion out there right now from the guys wearing the green shirts.
And quickly, the Eskimos have doubled the count on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. How bad is this? Kevin Mason was cut by the Saskatchewan Roughriders a year ago in June, and he's the second quarterback to former Rough Rider quarterback to come in and lay a whooping on his old team in as many weeks. Solid upfield tackling by Walters. 3 plays, 30 yards. And Mason finished it off with a 3-yard run. Tolbert set it up at the 5-yard line.
Tolbert cut that seam when he faked it to Terry Vaughn, and Cal Murphy's got a whole bunch of problems here. You know, and the thing that I think surprises me most and must surprise Cal Murphy is that this team has come out flat in the second half in probably the biggest game of the season.
Absolutely.
You know, one thing as a coach that you hope you don't have to coach is emotion. You hope that the players will take care of that individually and come out ready to play for the entire 60 minutes, especially in the big one.
Riders have lapsed in the third quarter. Here's Slack. And that was batted down. It won't be long before the Bluebirds really take after number 17. Marcelo Simmons got a hand on that Slack pass. Reggie was hot. 9 in a row, one stage.
Yeah, he's really, and again, offensively, it's the same story. I mean, they're not finishing their blocks. They're not finishing plays. Steve Sarkisian may get some playing time before this one's over, although many thought that he would be in the game last week versus Toronto when they got behind, and he never got any playing time then. So Cal Murphy has decided to go with Reggie Slack at this point.
2nd and 10. Riders in a deep hole. Slack goes for the home run toss, and he's off the target. intending that for Reggie Jones, and it seemed to hang up a little bit into the breeze here.
I don't think Reggie Jones was the first target that Reggie Slack was looking for on the play, but when he had a little more time, he saw him going down the field, and he runs into the zone coverage. That looks like it's man, but it was zone defense from Edmonton. It was just picked up late by Rio Wells, and Reggie Jones can't fight back for the football.
2 and out for the Riders again, and McCallum has had an off night. 1 punt in the first half, traveled 30, another just 10 yards. And then he missed the field goal that Murphy said should have counted, but it was not on the scoreboard for the Riders. Walters returning. 46 yards in the punt, 7 on the return. The Riders are digging themselves into a deep hole on Adidas Friday Night Football.
I am the Rocky.
Looked a little bleak for this guy in the early going. Although the Eskimos had the lead initially, the Riders came back and it looked rather comfortable in the dying moments of the opening half. Well, Edmonton responded, and the Riders did not.
Well, Don Matthews got a couple of breaks in this game, but that's not the reason that he has the big lead right now. The reason is his team is defeating them physically.
And running the ball extremely well. Troy Mills is over 100 yards. Very close to 100 in the opening half.
You know, one of the things when you can tell a team is flat and they're not playing with emotion or any intensity is missed tackles. And watch when Troy Mills gets out to the outside here. Now, he's going to hit the line of scrimmage. Willie Pless has a chance. He can't even get him. You know that's a problem. There's 3 missed tackles in that play.
Major foul, piling on. Saskatchewan, number 49. First down, Edmonton.
Rich Young adding to the miseries of the Roughriders here, number 49. And look where the Eskimos are all of a sudden, already in field goal range with a 19-point lead. So the Riders need 3 touchdowns. And they can't allow many Eskimo field goals either. Eskimos have been very solid in the second half. Kevin Mason has been getting the job done. Couldn't find a receiver, so he takes off, and Mason has another first down. And they were wondering about this guy as the starting quarterback. We asked the question too. He's been in town for all of 10 days, an Eskimo for about that length of time, and starting here tonight.
Well, you really got to credit the coaching staff. I mean, Dieter Brock put together a great game plan for a guy who hasn't been around very long, like you mentioned. I mean, if you're in practice for a week where you're taking the starting reps that Kevin Mason has taken in this week, you got to simplify things, give him a package that he's comfortable with, and now he's calling the plays for him, and he's executed it well.
And he's closing in on 100 yards rushing himself. 93, 94, 95, about 97 yards, I would guess, for Mason right now. He had 93 a second ago.
I talked to Dieter Brock before the game about the game plan. He said, you know, what we did is we devised a game plan based on what we do with Nealon Green as a running quarterback. But we simplified it, and we gave Kevin Mason just the plays that he was comfortable with running. And then if we call him from the sideline and we have a system set up now, then Kevin Mason will have a comfort level that he can have success. And look at him. He's rushing for 102 yards. He's thrown the ball well. He has not made any bad mistakes. He's made good decisions. Without the interceptions. You got to give credit to Dieter Brock.
And to Mason, the injured Rough Rider is Arkel Trulock, being attended to down there by the Saskatchewan medical staff. Things are going well for the Eskimos this night at Taylor Field. Oftentimes, Edmonton has struggled in this building, but the Riders have folded up in the second half. Here's the game story thus far, brought to you by Walmart. We sell for less every day.
Saskatchewan Roughriders came out flat in the second half, and the Eskimos made them pay with 21 points. Troy Mills has been unstoppable. The last one is the one that maybe tell the story more than anything. 249 rushing yards for Edmonton, 60 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And when you're putting up 250 yards along the ground, you're going to win a lot of games.
Compared to 60, that's almost 2 touchdowns there just on the ground, length of the field, right?
You know, and what kind of confidence does this give the Edmonton Eskimos with the injuries they've had to come in here And to put up the points that they put up and get this 19-point lead on Saskatchewan in their backyard, that's got to give them a ton of confidence.
And a chance here to add more to that total. Second and about a yard and a half necessary, and we'll try and figure out where the ball is underneath there. Mason being peeled off the pile.
And Don Matthews thinks about that. I mean, he thinks about, okay, I had to battle through these injuries, get a lineup put out there that we could win with. I got a quarterback. I had 1 week of practice at the starting reps, and Kevin Mason, not sure what we're going to get out of him. They get the big lead. They're going to get some of their injured guys back in the lineup very soon.
First and goal to go, set up for the Eskimos at the Saskatchewan 5. This could be good night Riders here if they hit the end zone this time. And Mills does on second efforts.
Well, you know, Troy Mills is given the second effort, and the Saskatchewan defense, for the most part along the line, are not giving the first effort.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty good analysis there. There's no question the Riders have been flat. I mean, they've allowed all these points. They had the lead by 2, and now trail 40-15.
And that's certainly not taking anything away from the great game that Troy Mills is putting together, but wow, they're just flat defense.
Doesn't get much worse than this for Saskatchewan. 4 Edmonton possessions second half. 4 touchdowns. The Eskimos open things wide open, 41-15, as Mills hits the end zone for the 4th time in the 3rd quarter.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the quarter. Brought to you by 1-800-HI-IT'S-ME. It's the cheapest way to call. Collect.
Well, if Saskatchewan ends up missing the playoffs, then this will be the quarter that they look back on as the problem. 28 unanswered points, and all of a sudden Kevin Mason looks like Warren Moon in that quarter. What the heck happened, Matt?
Well, at the beginning of the week, Don Matthews said coaches coach, players play. He chose Kevin Mason as starting quarterback for obvious reasons. He's got a very, very strong arm. Don Matthews says he's got the strongest arm that he's ever seen in a young quarterback. Here he is, just on a half roll, stepping up in the pocket, looking off the free safety and throws a strike to Herbie. Just an example of how quickly a strong arm quarterback can hurt you. Chris, you said it. You're a bang-on big guy. You scored a touchdown yourself. You said that Troy Mills was going to be the best and biggest factor in this football game.
He really was, and I think the halftime conversation has really benefited the Edmonton Eskimos. I can see it now. Don Matthews went up to offensive line coach Bill McDermott and said, listen, I'm going to run your man, Troy Mills, extensively this quarter, and they've responded. That changes anything. It doesn't matter what level of football it is. If you establish a running back, you're going to move the football in all capacities. The difference in this 3rd quarter, the unanswered points, Troy Mills.
By the way, on that kicked ball, which was kind of controversial in a key play, yes, if you kick the ball out of bounds, it's turned over to the other team. But in the rule book, under the definition of a kicked ball, if the ball accidentally strikes a player's leg, it shall not be ruled a kick ball. So there is definitely a gray area there, and it's open to interpretation. But the referees may have got it right. Let's send it back to Taylor Field.
Here are the stats after the 3rd quarter, favoring the Eskimos. 257 yards. Sorry, Glenn, go.
Well, here comes the replay, and it's a point of attack. Watch how the offensive line really does a number. You see the great block by Chris Morris on Willie Pless, and there was an even better block by Bruce Beaton right at the point of attack, and he's going to move out and take on Travis Smith, and Travis Smith gets on the roller skates and can't stop it. 217 pounds against 288.
Mayfield returning for the Riders, who are in big trouble now and needing 4 touchdowns to come back. Steve Sarkisian getting set to go in, and one more look at a big block.
Watch the roller skates. Watch the beaten block here on Travis Smith. Back into the end zone. Smith's all turned around, doesn't even know where the ball is. He's 3 yards deep across the goal line.
Sarkisian now at the controls for the Roughriders. He is their leading quarterback so far this season in yards and victories. He's thrown a few too many interceptions. And he keeps it on the ground to Michael Saunders. Saunders nailed at the 40. Torrey Hunter. The numbers I was talking about, brought to you by Castrol GTX. Drive hard. Rushing yardage for the Eskimos. Incredible.
Yeah, that's been the difference. 257 yards along the ground, and when you're giving up that much yards, and a lot of that on first down, the time of possession reflects that. 25 minutes, and now it's a chance for Steve Sarkisian. See if he can move the football team, but he's got a big hole to come out of.
Reggie Slack, no completions in the third quarter. Sarkisian on 2nd and 5 tries to get a little something going, and he'll get a first down to Curtis Mayfield. First down of the second half for the Riders. The numbers for Slack, not disastrous, but he really had a cold hand in the third quarter.
Well, you know, in the first half, he wasn't getting a lot of pressure on him. He moved the pocket around well and really started the game quite well. And then as the Edmonton defense figured out what he was doing, shut him down.
Riders first down. Saunders flips to the outside and runs into Marcelo Simmons. Looks like close to 5 yards for Saunders.
Yeah, and you know, when you're down this far, then Mike Saunders comes out of the game plan a little bit. Now Saunders will just be, if at all used, will be used in the passing game. But 11 carries, and we talked about if he gets 20 carries and over 100 yards, they have won. When he gets less than that, it drops drastically and they lose the game. And they're losing right now in a big way.
Into the fourth quarter, Sarkisian in for Slack. And he's on the money again inside the 50. Reggie Jones, a newcomer who's been in town for a couple of weeks and is an explosive receiver. When he gets the ball and a chance to run with it, has his second of the night.
And now Reggie Slack will just watch the rest of this one. And Steve Sarkisian out there can't really think about the score of the football game. You just got to try and execute and take it play by play. Try and get something positive and put something positive on tape, because Cal Murphy for the last couple of weeks decided that Reggie Slack was going to be the guy from start to finish, and Steve Sarkisian has an opportunity to maybe change that opinion a little bit.
Fans have been second-guessing Murphy's decision to go with Slack all the way in the loss to the Argonauts. We've got an injured official on the field. So timeout at Taylor Field on Adidas Friday Night Football, the hometown. A battle of the best. We've got a great one Sunday. The Lions, #1 in the West. The Alouettes, #1 in the East. 1 o'clock Eastern time. Apparently still a few tickets available for that. You're going to enjoy yourself in Montreal.
Yeah.
Ken Pickett was the injured official. Up and ready to go again. Sarkisian at the controls for the Roughriders. Down by 4 touchdowns to the Eskimos. Yes. Marker down on Anthony Fogel's coverage of Don Narcisse.
Again, that was pretty close, but he came across the top. Don Narcisse, half his jersey was off, so.
Forward pass interference, delivered. Edmonton, #5. First down, Saskatchewan.
The grab there, too, so that can be called when you grab the cloth, and then probably more the grab, because that's the deliberate pass interference than the play at the end of it.
So this Rough Rider drive will continue. Saskatchewan has to score early and often to get back in this thing. Trailing 41-15. Riders actually led by 2 at halftime. Sarkisian goes for the home run.